Hey Axis and Allies players, the good captain here. Welcome to a review of Soviet Round 2 in this game of East and West played against a human opponent. I'll also be executing the NATO Round 2. So to start with the top of the turn, which is the free tech roll that the Soviet Union gets. You get a free roll. Of course, my opponent puts this on the nuclear weapons chart and fails to gain a 1 or a 2. A 1 would be the outright breakthrough. A 2 would put you on the first pip, making it easier to get the technology on the following round. And then he invests, and you can do this sequentially. So he sees the result of that and then decides to invest in armor, the armor tech tree for 5 IPCs, and rolls a 2. Now he previously secured the first pip here after heavy armor, so that breaks through to anti-tank guns. So now, anytime a territory is attacked with aircraft and tanks, the owner can decide to shoot the AA gun at the tanks or at the aircraft. Same rules to both. One or the other. Question then arises if you have, because this is 3rd edition rules, so 2 AA guns could technically be in the same territory, so then can they shoot at both targets if there are targets of both available? I don't know. It's not in the rules, it's not in the errata. We should probably work that out, but moving forward, it's not going to affect this turn. The rest of the IPCs are spent on infantry, so the Soviets will be deploying 29 infantry at the end of their turn. Again, their cost is only 2. On the combat move, really is only land combat, so there are 5 combats. Yeah, 5 combats. So Finland is going to be attacked. Again, the Soviets can attack neutrals. NATO cannot. Yugoslavia is going to be attacked, obviously. There's only 1 infantry there, a blocker. Turkey is going to be attacked. Iran is going to be attacked. And Pakistan is going to be attacked. And that's it for the combats. Most of these were locked in. The real question was how many hits are we going to get? I'd say Pakistan wasn't totally locked in, and that ended up being pretty dramatic. Because out of the gate, I know this is how I know that there's when you defend with 2 infantry, the percentage chance of getting 2 hits with 2 at 2 is 11%. I just know that without looking at a battle calculator because I played this game too much. So it's only more if you don't kill them both on the first round. So I think it was something like a 1 in 6 chance of getting 2 kills, and I'll just start there. That's what happened. The expected kills that NATO rolled up 1.25 kills here, and the Soviets, of course, wisely took both those hits on the infantry and did not secure the territory. So that went well for NATO, absolutely. Both tactically and, well, not tactically, I guess Soviet infantry are cheaper than NATO, but strategically that was, now we don't need to counterattack as the British are clear this territory, it stays British. This was mitigated somewhat by Iran, which shot down almost the exact amount that Pakistan shot up, so we're basically even at this point. And before I'll save Turkey to the end, because that's where things go kind of wacky. Yugoslavia had just 1 infantry in it, and this was a complete smash. Yugoslavia missed their shot, so that's shooting down a 1/3 of a hit. And Finland did fairly well. They shot up just over a 1/3 of a hit. So these 2 cancel out. These 2 cancel out. It's Turkey, which, they had 5 at 2, and nobody hit. And the attackers stomped us. So we should have had 2 and maybe a 3rd kill, and we had 0. So that ended up being what broke in favor of the Soviets. So it was a warmish turn, including the tech roll, the breakthrough with the anti-tank guns, and that shooting up to essentially, or having 2 Soviet troops that otherwise shouldn't be there in Turkey. Warmish turn, not a bad turn. Non-combat move, we don't need to really go over that. Displacement of troops. Placement of infantry. You could see, again, exercising the fact that you can drop infantry in territories of your choice. A heavy fortification on the east, minor buildup here in Turkestan, and the rest going basically west and northwest. Okay. Income, 68 IPCs collected, and then we go to Western Europe turn 1. And this is where the spies become interesting. So remember those spies that we all purchased as the NATO powers on each of the top of their turns. They're 10 IPCs apiece. What do? Well, prior to the tech roll, you roll your spy, and there's three things you can do with them. You can choose to do one of these three things. You can do counterintelligence, that's try to assassinate an enemy spy, so we don't have any of those, so that's not even an option to consider. The other two are espionage and diplomacy. We can steal a technology. Of course, we're still restricted by having to steal the basic tech first. So in this case, we could attempt to steal heavy armor, and we would do so on a roll of a one with our spy. Or the last one, and this is the most lethal in my opinion as NATO, and that's say we're gonna take the Western European spy, invest in the NATO aspect of this thing, roll a d6, and on a roll of one, we get to influence either a neutral alliance or a neutral country of our choice. So there are three neutral alliances. That's what these funny colors are. China's this weird blue. You have this odd yellow over here, and purple for the South America countries. They're neutral alliances, and they, this chart is benefits, IPC benefits, and allegiances and whatnot, and you get ability to move into the country. So the Soviets actually start out with China giving them 4 IPCs a turn, and this makes it so that they can actually move pieces through and into their territories. So that is, and they give them $4 a turn. So this is public enemy number one on the diplomacy racket, is knocking off China. You're knocking off 4 IPCs. The Soviets immediately get kicked out of China when it falls, and the last thing is when China stops actively supporting the USSR, as these troops disappear. These are Chinese troops invested in the defense of North Korea only. They cannot attack, they only help defend the territory, and they disappear immediately the turn that China is no longer adding a positive IPC number to the Soviet Union. And so the Western Europeans rolled their 1d6 on the diplomacy, and they managed to peg China. So it goes from 4 to 0, and that happens here, okay, on the WE2. So yeah, poof. So we poof. That's why we moved from 4 to 0. Okay, so that's just how that works, and that'll probably be the only explanation I give through this series of videos. And so I had to ask my opponent where he wanted his fighters displaced, so he chose Mongolia, so they're popped over. Now there's no more allowed movement through these territories. Those Chinese troops that were in North Korea are immediately popped out of existence, and they'll pop back in as soon as China starts supporting the Soviet Union again. A couple ways that can happen we won't go into right now. And then yeah, so the other benefit to this happening is that Indochina is now no longer under any threat of Soviet paratroopers. So the bomber is here, so it's always a question, where's the enemy bomber, or where are the enemy bombers, so that we know where the enemy or our bombers can drop paratroopers. So with China in the game still, we would have to leave an infantry to garrison Indochina, but not anymore, because you cannot land in China. So the bomber would be able to pick up a paratrooper, drop him in Indochina, land in Hunan or Sichuan, but not possible anymore. Okay, moving on. The Western European combat move, after studying the battlefield, is analyzing this situation up here on the West Front, or on the Germany front, Yugoslavia front over here. My opponent split his infantry forces basically equally between West Germany and Yugoslavia. And I think this already my arrows plopped in, so I'm just going to make my moves. And yeah, there's risk in this attack, but I don't think it's an opportunity to pass up. I think passing it up actually would be, excuse me, more harm than good. So here's what we're going to do. All the Western European troops in Italy are going to launch a frontal assault. Same as the armor. We can pull that armor out if we need to. Additionally, the fighter on the UK carrier attacks from the seaward side. The fighter from France goes 1-2. So we got 2 fighters in there, and the bomber, yeah, 1-2. So we're the whole Air Force is committed. We're not finished just yet. This transport in the Western Mediterranean is going to load this colonial troop up. It's also going to load up 1 infantry from France, move over here, and unload. And I'm going to have to keep these fellows separate because they cannot retreat. Amphibiously assaulting units cannot retreat in this version of Axis and Allies. Everybody else can. The air units, the ground units from the landward side can, but not them. And then this guy's going to single shuck, move back, pick up 2 troops, load, come back here, and unload. And so these 4 pieces cannot retreat. They must succeed or fail, and obviously they'll be the first casualties to absorb hits in this battle. So that's it. That's my only combat move. So let's load up the dice. Sorry, of course, we had 27 IPCs. I skipped the purchase, and we spent it all on infantry. So we have 9 more bodies coming in. Yeah, so here we go. Okay, we're all set to go here. This is what I consider probably our first real battle. Everything else has sort of been battles of no consequence, but this one is in my favor, of course. Well, we'll see. Always makes me nervous doing a larger set piece battle, but yeah, let me gloss this over. Time, yeah, and we're good. So here we roll. Let's see, the bomber missed. All the fighters hit, and oh wow, the infantry picked up 3 kills, so that's 6 hits. That cuts them in half on the first round. So, what was our expected results? 1, 2, 3, probably 4, and maybe a 5th hit. So we picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, we shot up plus 1.5 at least. Okay, we'll go ahead and roll back. 12, 1d6, 6, yeah, this looks right. And we're expecting 4 hits, like a solid 4. Or they only, oh wow, we only lost 1. That's incredible. That's a -3. Huh. Yeah, I really didn't expect that. Huh. Yeah, well, I'm gonna go for a second round. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, let's attack again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. We were expected 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we basically met our numbers on this one. And the Russians shoot back. Okay, USSR defends Yugoslavia with 6 infantry, round 2. Submit, we're expecting 2 hits. They pick up the 2 hits, okay. Okay, this is actually, this was one of the possibilities, so I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do and then backwards explain it. I'm retreating now. I'm going to leave the amphibious assaulter to his, probable, most likely demise. But I'm going to invoke this retreat rule. Everybody else who's not amphibiously assaults retreats. The air units, obviously, well, the ground units, you have to go back to Italy. Technically, these are not in the fight anymore. And now, 1 infantry attacks 2. And I'll just cut to the chase again and say the strafe for me was always on the table. That's why I didn't bring this other armor in here, or well, capture or strafe was what I wanted. I wanted both options to be available on the table. Now this just happened to fall out this way, where we inflicted some pretty severe damage, and it just makes more economical sense to pull back. If we occupied the territory, all 9 of these infantry would be here, and their heads would be on the chopping block. Like, all this adjacent infantry and armor, just easily pick this up and avenge the damage done in Yugoslavia, making it fairly moot. We retreat all these assets, though. We preserve them to fight another game, and we're left with essentially a tactical victory. The strategic win can be picked up by the British or the Americans on their respective turns. We can secure the territory and add in a blocker and gain the strategic win there with another power. So I kind of acknowledged all this before going in, and the opportunity just sort of presented itself. So I'm now going to roll off on this last infantry. And this, I checked to make sure that I could do this. It's actually in the errata. But yeah, so this is all legit. So I have to make this attack, and oops, I have to make this attack. Just by the rules, I can't retreat this last surviving amphibious assaulter, so he attacks round 3 by himself, misses, and the Soviets, yeah, we're good. Sorry about that. Here we go. Soviets, okay, they double kill him. All right, yeah, he should have been dead from the jump anyway. Okay, non-combat moves. The aircraft are going to fly back to France. 1, 2, all of them. The sub in the Black Sea moves here to help protect the transports. This cruiser is stuck in the Black Sea because the Soviets are keeping it bottled in with the Turkish Straits closed. This fighter flies out of India into Sudan. This is a strategic repositioning since there's no need for that fighter in India basically at all. Sudan is a good interchange. I can go bring him up to Europe if we need him, or put him back in India, or use him to an attack for an attack on Pakistan. Even I think that's good. It's always the strategic repositioning always makes me nervous. We load this fellow on New Guinea because you know it is taking a guy out of a combat area. I just don't see any benefit to leaving him in India. There's certainly not going to be an attack coming from this quarter next turn. 2 heavies could blitz, but I just don't see it happening. Okay. So yeah, we reinforce Burma, and I think that's everything. So yeah, we're going to place all 9 pieces in... Yeah, let's not mess with it. All 9 pieces are going to go into France. The Western Europeans collect 21, and I think I'm going to close this video here and make a separate one for UK, USA. So yeah, we're not going to, it's past 15 minutes. So yeah, if you want to see the next part of this turn 2, check out the next video. Thanks for watching. All the best from the good captain, and bye-bye.